Hi there. Welcome to another video of Seibert Group. I'm here with Yuri and Yuri. They told me you order one and you get two.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's a promo.
Yeah, it's easy with us.
Cool. Thanks for being with me. What are we gonna be talking about today?
Yeah, we would like to share our thoughts on our product which we are building about release management. So because we see that the world has been changed during the recent time. In the past, we had one monolithic release which was released once a year or maybe once a 6 months. We got CD, and now with cloud, everything is getting to be more faster. So like first of all, solution is getting to be truly decoupled.
Way more releases.
Yeah, and way more releases. It's like because of shorter time to market. Plus, we have bigger amount of components, and bigger amount of components multiplied on a shorter time to market, and a lot of releases, like exploding total number of releases. And sometimes it's very difficult to take control out of them. So we used the opportunity and build solution which can help to solve this problem.
Awesome. Is that more of an internal communication problem in huge companies, or is it more of a publicly facing thing towards customers?
I think that actually this is a problem for any company, more or less, because everyone want to be fast and want to achieve time to market faster. And that's actually the reason why we see the increased amount of release in terms of frequency and the volume. Okay. This also partially came from the perspective of agility, empowering teams to deliver kind of faster. So the problem statement we are seeing, and we are basically hearing from a lot of engineering leaders, is that it's very difficult to visualize all these releases, basically orchestrate it, manage it together, and effectively and bring this transparency towards the whole organization. Actually, what we're releasing, when we're releasing, and why we're so slow.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds like an interesting problem. So basically, I'm trying to paraphrase what you said. We come from an age where software was put on CDs and releases were infrequent. I don't know, once a year, once a quarter, something like that.
Yep.
And now we're in a cloud software environment where we release daily, weekly, every 2 weeks, and or maybe even more. And now the communication efforts to tell customers what to exchange in my software, and maybe sometimes I did push the update button, right? So someone else, the vendor, pushed the update button, and he now has to explain to his users what has changed.
Exactly.
And that's release management.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And there is another problem in enterprise. Because if we are getting more frequent releases, we still need to comply with some regulations. And a lot of regulations require very strong and very detailed control about what we release. And if we would like to release fast, we need to make very efficient control of what we change and communicate it in an efficient way to regulator to get approval in timely manner. And again, it's another problem just to have to consolidate all this information and build this process to don't slow down overall release process and just to don't be behind the market.
Yeah.
So to understand how to give the teams flexibility and agility to deliver independently faster, but at organization level, bring a common denominator for the release management process, so there is proper quality controls and security controls are in place.
Yeah, okay. You're not the only solution in the LSM marketplace. What are other competitors offering, and how do you differentiate?
Yeah, I believe that's a key differentiator from our side, that we provide a holistic solution. So maybe we are not doing all the things in the best way, but providing integrated solution will provide to the client Turkey solution which can cover all aspects of release process, like from planning, scheduling, tracking, generating release notes, and also monitoring environments. And I believe that is our key differentiator, because if release management will be implemented once, it does not require any complex integration and collaboration and making some solution between different other tools.
Okay, so more powerful is what I hear.
I'll say more one-stop solution.
And more simple. Yeah, more simple because people like simplicity. They don't want to take some release node generator. Maybe it will be better. Maybe they don't want to make some integration with DevOps tools in some manual way. With release management, they just kind of use the solution and it will be working once and forever. All the data will be consolidated. And I believe what is also important is connecting the functions, because in the organization quite often we have silos, like maybe product silo, maybe we can have some engineering, DevOps silo, and it's very important to connect all of them to work as single team and make them focused on the single goal.
Awesome. If I want to install your app, what should I search on the Advanced Marketplace?
Release management for Jira.
Okay.
Or just release and you're gonna find us.
Or you can talk to Yuri and Yuri, or can come to the Seibert Group and get it to us.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. How about we look at the software?
So in release management, we're working with a board, and board defining our context. And on the board, we can consolidate.
Help me. This is a Jira, or this is your app already?
Is already our application, so it could be accessible from apps. After that, release management.
Yeah.
And we are moving to the board. And on this board, we're consolidating releases from multiple Jira projects, because now each team would like to work in own context, and each team would like to have flexibility to craft the process and adjust it according to their needs, like using retrospectives and do not be dependent to other teams. So as a result, we are getting a big amount of, a large amount of projects. And all the projects could be added to release board, because all of them are involved in value creation. So like on one board, we will track everything what is bringing us business value, and we will get all releases. And now you can see that each card is not Jira issue, it's a release. For instance, this one is Data Analytic version 3.0 from Data Analytic team demo project. So just we are moving a little bit level up to be able to look at releases instead of like...
so you're calling that an item?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Also, we can be able to create cross-project releases, and it's a very demanding feature by our clients, because if we need to do something across multiple teams, we don't need to make some bicycle, and we can just create the version which will be always synchronized, and it will be always showing us the whole context and all scope of our release, so we can easily track how it's moving on, what is progress, what is the quality, and what is the struggles. Also, we can move beyond just standard fixed version, and we can pull sprint as a release, because if we are speaking about vanilla Scrum teams, they're supposed to release after each sprint. So instead of creating a fixed version, which will be just repeating sprints, why do not bring sprints here? And it will make it more simple. We can make also epics as sprints, and one unusual release is like a virtual GQL release, which will be based on some GQL query, and we can extract some data which we want to release using this approach.
Okay.
So in that case, we can get all releases here, and we can start seeing what is the progress and what is the status. Of course, we can extend each release with some metadata. So we can add some properties in very easy way. Like for instance, who is the release manager? What is the release type? Maybe we could be able to add some properties like about content, about some public message to our clients. So that again, we would like to keep the all context in the single place. No people should be looking for the information somewhere else, because everything will be integrated in one place.
Let me try to paraphrase that to make sure that I understood that correctly. So you're creating items here, and you can collate different things. It could be sprints, it could be fixed versions, it could be single Jira issues or whole projects under those items. And then those items can have a description, pictures, and a release manager and all these things that you show. And this will then go into the release notes.
Exactly.
Later, right?
Exactly. Effectively, we allow to bring different ways of creating the release or defining the release. Yeah? You can define the release as a fixed version. You can define the release as a sprint, as an epic, or you can define it by GQL, because the release is what is the scope eventually, right? So once you bring all those releases on a board, then you can effectively create your own taxonomy of custom properties and define the way you want it. You can share those cross properties cross boards as well, but you can also assign the tags that basically differentiates your releases and help you to narrow down on focus on your specific area that you want to release.
Can we look at release notes real quick, so I get a view of how this will look later, or does it kill your flow of presenting.
It will kill our flow of presenting, but we could be able to look at it. So yeah, now we have this release, and usually release notes used for different purpose. And what our clients likes, they like that they can use release note generating for generating documentation, because everybody hate creating some documentation, some paperwork. Like, we try to automate it just to make the life as simple as possible. So then we can create multiple templates, and each template can help some visuals, some data. We can inject some properties from release. We can inject some macro, like list of milestones, maybe list of environments. Yeah, and also we could be able to inject some data which is coming from our release scope. We can define some GQL to filter it out. We can also tell how it will look like.
And we've skipped some templating here.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, as soon as we have some templates, we could be able, right from here or maybe from the board, be able to generate release notes. And it's like very simple. I'm just using my version of my release or package. By the way, we'll speak about packages a bit later. And we can get in a few seconds a document like this one. And this document could be saved as HTML, PDF, or in some other way. But a lot of people just click and push to Confluence and to export it into Confluence in just a few seconds. And we don't need to spend a lot of time on creating documents. And by the way, you see that we support versioning, so we can always track the history. Yeah, and we will get the documents how we have seen it in release management just in a few seconds. And clients are creating reports about quality, like created resolved bugs, about achieved business value, for release notes for internal use, for client-facing use. And we have some cases when our clients has more than 200 different sections for quite complex product inside the release notes.
Yeah, cool. I understand that better now. So back to your flow. Sorry for... I see where we're going.
Yeah. And also, I would like just to also pay attention on very important things that now, even we have all releases, it's, sometimes we need to combine them all together. So for a prime example, let's imagine that we are working with mobile applications. We need to release some business value on Android platform, iOS platform, maybe on the website, maybe some backend services, maybe some analytic. So at the moment, I already counted like, how many? 6?
Yeah.
6 releases altogether, so that we need to monitor this version, this version, this version, this version, this version. Of course, we can tag it, but it's very inconvenient. Instead of that, we offer to create package. So we can package them into one big entity. And after that, we can switch the board by packages, and we can monitor what is our project status, like what packages do we have, and move level up to more higher level to monitor business value delivered. And packages...
How do you track dependencies? Just as you... Is that a relationship between the Jira issues, or?
No, basically what we do, we allow to create pretty much the classical start to finish, finish to start dependency between the releases. In fact, there are a couple of ways to do it. You can either define it manually by basically saying that this release depends on this release, or effectively you can do it via the components that's enclosed in this release. Yeah. So we have a native integration with Compass, where effectively we bring components to the table, and we say, okay, good. So the release is actually a release of this component that's defined in Compass, which effectively depends on some other components. And then we basically project, the people say, good. So this release might be impacting some other releases because of the dependency between the components. And this actually giving the good visibility for the people to see that, okay, good. So there are some explicit dependency being created, but some implicit dependency be done because of the architecture of the whole solution.
Yeah, okay, understand.
Yep. And by the way, if we're speaking about dependency, it's making a lot of value when we will move to a roadmap view, because absolutely the same releases we can represent as roadmap, and if we enable dependency, we can see what is dependent to what, and it can help us better plan order of releases and do not miss some components when we will be moving from development to production. Also, I would like to admit that we can use it for planning, so I can easily move it, and all dates will be updated in corresponding projects. Plus, we can get some warning when some release is going to be delayed, so we can help to get a holistic view on our progress. Plus, we can define intermediate milestones, like for each release or for package, to be focused on the most important events on the way. The same data could be also visualized as calendar view. Plus, we can export it as permanent link to make always updated.
Is that an ICS file then, or what?
Yeah, ICS, but if we will import it to Google Calendar or Outlook, we can always see up-to-date calendar for external people about some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't need to create a Jira account to get this data. It's very important for digital agency or the people.
So basically, that's the roadmap in my Google Calendar.
Exactly. Yeah. So there are a couple of ways to do it. So you can either create it as a gadget in the Jira dashboard, or you effectively can export multiple calendars, because we allow to effectively export it based on your filter bin. So effectively you can do your narrow focus calendar, or like the calendar for specific client or for specific type of kind of release, and you can export it and put it into the either Confluence or any other corporate calendar to be used by the clients.
Oh, you must have been years into that, building all this. So yeah,
It took some time. Let's put it this way.
yeah. When did you start building that?
Cloud version 2020. Before that, we had 2 years of data center from 2018.
And actually, I have to admit that all the
Did you do build that, or do you have a team behind that, or?
yeah, we have a team. So we has been developing like 10 years ago, so something like maybe even more. And we have a team who did all the job, and we are proud that team can do so.
Yeah, it sounds so pretty powerful, right?
Yeah, and by the way, I have to admit that all the view also available as gadgets. So we can just make roadmap gadget, calendar gadget, list view gadget.
Okay.
So we can easily like communicate it.
So you put it in Jira and in Confluence, or only Jira, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is some kind of tricks to put it in Confluence as well.
Yeah.
And it's working pretty well for data center. I also would like to mention that it's not only cloud, it's also data center.
Yeah.
And for cloud, it's also possible that we can make some insightful dashboards for communicating our release progress. And for actually, we have a list view. So for people who likes Excel, so it's like the most native way to work with the data. And again, we can export the data to Excel just to make it communicated. And around it, we can also build a lot of automation, because now automation is a key. We need to automate all routine operations, so we can define some rules. And based on that rules, we can even start moving something on the board. And after that, we will execute some action and deploy some version. So for instance, if I have
There's the connectors or triggers that you can offer within Jira Automation.
Exactly. So effectively, we have our own automation agent, because Jira has nothing to do with our entity. So we have pretty much built our own automation agent, which is very similar to Jira, to operate with our entities, but we have a bridge to Jira Automation. So from our automation, you can invoke Jira Automation, and vice versa. From Jira Automation, you can release measurements. So you can build a holistic end-to-end automation solution to basically to cover all your needs.
And actually, it's working well together, because we have some entities that are not available in Jira, so that they are not easily accessible from Jira Automation. So like what is dealing with our entities, we cover with our automation. What operates with Jira entities, we're covering with Jira Automation. In addition, I would like to mention that release management is very well integrated with plans, so we can reuse the same entities, and with number of other applications, because again, we're using native entities, and we can exchange data between those tools, and we can help to build holistic flow from like idea to production, and release management can play like a significant role and at release stage, and on preparing like and validating quality of our releases.
Okay. Packages, we were talking about that. We didn't see insights yet. What is insights?
Yeah, in insights, we can also track what is our progress. We can build burn-up charts. We can build a trend report to see amount of edited, removed items from each release, and we can get this information here. So just monitor like for what was velocity, what we edited, what we removed. We can also monitor scope change, because it's very difficult to be in time if we are editing a lot more new things, and so we can define time period and see what was edited, what was removed during the time of release. And all such reports are also available as gadgets. So like because we can build dashboards, which can build bring all the information about releases.
Yeah, so in release management, you always have to answer to questions like when and why so slow. So insights about this is actually giving you the exact answer to the question when we're gonna release, and then effectively if we're not hitting the date, so why we're slow and how to improve it. That's the most important one.
There's a challenge with this type of software, which is, let's call it data hygiene. How do I get my Jira to be up to date Because if it's not, it's garbage in, garbage out. Like you'll help me get a better overview of garbage.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend to customers to make sure that their Jira is Azure?
And actually, one thing which covered on product level that we are using the same entities like Jira use, then in that case, for the release which will be used in release management will be absolutely the same release which is used by for each team in their Kanban or Scrum board, so that they will not change their habits and they will continue working it in the. Another thing which can help us so that we can always monitor like what is the status here.
Hold on. Just to rephrase that, what you're saying is the advantage that we have is teams don't have to change how they work. It will tie into their existing work easily, so they just need to work in Jira, and then we'll pick up whatever is there.
Exactly. There's actually a layer on top of it. So effectively, we allow teams to be independent, and then the way they work.
They could be Kanban, they could get
and that's exactly what we are just promoting. So we could be able to have full freedom on tactical level, on team level. We will not kind of tell the people how they will be working, but when we moving to portfolio level and when we formalize the release, we will make unified flow. And a lot of organizations like it a lot because changing the way of working on team level is super complicated and take a lot of efforts. But everybody would like to see some unified way to production, especially in a regulated environment. Plus, in that case, we can just make some quality gates, which will help us to make standard way of checking quality of our release across all the teams without changes a habits of team in particular. And be agnostic to the process, even waterfall is supported. It sounds strange, but yeah, it is.
Yeah, cool. I know we missed templates, but we saw them.
Yeah.
Environment I don't get yet. What's environments?
Yeah. Usually when
that's Android and iOS, or what's it?
It's not always like that. So we can just first define environments from lower to higher. And in each environment type, we can have some group of environment. Maybe we just like work in international setup, and we have Europe environment, US environments, Australian environment.
That's infrastructure environment.
Yeah, exactly. Because quite often we would need to propagate our software to different environments, or maybe to different market, or maybe if we are managing white label solution to our clients, we need somehow to monitor like what version is already updated, what is not for all our clients. And environment inventory, and by the way, we can create a lot of them, can always help to answer the questions, what the version is deployed on what environment, have we tested it on lower environment before moving to higher, and in general plan some rollout activities. Plus I would like to admit that we support like also rollout end date, so like it's already embedded in the application, the fact that we may have a long lasting rollout. And this rollout is also very well resonate with feature flagging, because we can make a version released, but we can take some time to enable feature to all selections of time. Maybe we can just roll out for only 5% of our users, after that extend it, and we can indicate it with rollout end date, this progressive rollout process.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. So it's a kind of like phased rollout that the resellers will say, oh, you may have it or not, because you may...
Yeah, it's actually too risky to put straight away your the latest version to all the environments, yeah? So effectively, you usually start like with one, basically you test it. If it's working, then basically distribute it to the other environments. At any single point of time, you need to understand, okay, good. So what kind of version of this component I have on this environment or that environment? Because if you have the incident in the middle of the night, yeah, then you need to have a clear answer, okay, what version is deployed there, so you know what to do with this.
Yeah, okay, cool. What's the target group of this? Who buys that normally? Is that a release manager, or is it an IT? Maybe, or... Yes. Who's your customer?
Maybe we can split it into some groups. If we just measure it by company type, usually it's like big companies who are adopting microservices architecture, who has a lot of components, who has a product which includes software and hardware, or maybe different services. Also, another group of companies is the companies who take care about regulation, and who are working in a regulated environment. It's pharmaceutical, it's medical research, it's banks, it's financial institutions, insurance companies, like who need to have control over releases and they cannot avoid releasing something. And third group of the companies is typical setup for retailers when they have product, and product has to be customized per brand and per location, and it's make a very big amount of releases in general and environments to be under control. So this is like regarding typical profile type, and Yuri regarding
yeah, with regard to the roles, usually this being taken by the engineering organizations. Basically, usually we work with PMOs or project management kind of groups, but also the engineering leaders from the engineering manager, engineering directors. It's good because to some extent, usually when we're talking about what needs to be done, it's all about the product. But when things gonna be done and why so slow, it's all comes to the engineering. To some extent, like it's mostly used by the engineering, but as you said, not only. So we clearly see that from the use cases of our clients that this is becoming like a powerful tool for different groups of the teams within the organization, including product engineering, and then kind of customer support after it. Just have a single denominator, understanding like, okay, what we're releasing, when we're releasing, effectively, and what's in production at the moment.
And of course, release managers, and of course, compliance teams for quite often using it.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for presenting that. That's an I didn't know how deep this would go. Like, it feels like you've replicated a couple of things that Jira does natively for your purposes here, and I can imagine that it may take some time with a partner maybe to configure that correctly, but once done, that can be a very powerful solution.
Yes, of course, yeah. And it also supports a lot of integrations with DevOps tools, and there are a lot of opportunity to automate the process end to end, and for sure, like with good solution partners, it can work as Swiss watch.
Yeah. Contact Seibert Group if you have questions, or the both Yuris. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
pleasure to be
here. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.